anything about his son Hunter Biden's business dealings? Well, we have 327 emails that prove otherwise. In fact, 54 emails came from President Biden and his fake alias accounts to Hunter Biden's business associate, Eric Schwerin, who was the architect of all of these shell corporations that Hunter Biden used to pass millions of dollars through foreign entities and then to a lot of his family members.
Let's talk about what are in these emails and how does it specifically implicate the president himself. I mean, we know Hunter says that he gave half his income to Pops. We know he complained bitterly about paying for Pops' home repairs. We know, that 10% was set aside from the big guy. And we also know the bribery statute does not mandate that if he as vice president takes an action that benefits somebody in his family, that would be bribery by law, wouldn't it?
It would be. One of the emails that the whistleblowers uncovered was an email from Kevin Morris to the tax preparer of Hunter Biden's that said that they needed to take care of Hunter Biden's tax problems, which was about $2 million at that time, and said if they didn't, they would be facing great personal and political risk. The political risk of that, Sean, was the fact that it was 3 weeks before Super Tuesday in February of 2020. That political risk was the election of Joe Biden.
All right, let me ask you, James Comer, both you and Jim Jordan on judiciary have now threatened to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress, and I believe that includes Joe's brother James Biden, if they fail to show up after the subpoena that you sent them. What actions will you take?
Well, we'll hold them in contempt. I mean, we've issued lawful subpoenas. I'm hopeful they'll both show up. I have more confidence that Jim Biden's going to show up than I do Hunter. You're seeing today rhetoric from the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee openly encouraging Hunter Biden not to show up. I mean, the Democrats on the Oversight Committee have obstructed this credible investigation just as much as the Biden legal team, just as much as the mainstream media and all these government agencies who are supposed to be investigating. But we're going to hold Hunter Biden accountable if he doesn't show up for the subpoena. Sean, we looked and Donald Trump's immediate family testified in depositions on the January 6th committee for 18 hours. 18 hours. Donald Trump's family showed up for depositions when they were subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. But the Bidens think the law doesn't apply to them, that they're special, and they aren't going to show up. I mean, there's more evidence now about Hunter Biden than most criminals that have to show up for depositions in bill. We're going to hold him accountable.
Exit question for both of you. Jason Smith, do you believe that your committee and Chairman Comer's committee and Chairman Jordan's committee have now accumulated enough evidence that, at least on a prima facie level, a case can be made that Joe Biden was involved in bribery as vice president, that he took a specific official action in exchange for a benefit financially for his family?
We have over 1,100 pages of documentation that came from the two IRS whistleblowers that came before the Ways and Means Committee. There's numerous examples in those 1,100 pages that show that, in fact, Joe Biden had helped his son in a lot of business dealings. In fact, from the sense of, I believe that they've used Air Force Two, more like a corporate jet, flying his son to Ukraine and Mexico. It's quite disturbing of the official acts that the whistleblowers have tied into instances of official conduct.
And your same question, James Comer.
Yeah, look, we had the FBI 1023 form that alleged bribery, but yet the FBI refused to investigate it. Now we find there were more informants that accused the Bidens of accepting bribes. And you look at what happened with Burisma, with firing the prosecutor, Shokin, who was investigating Burisma. That was a quid pro quo. Remember, the Democrats impeached Donald Trump for asking about Joe Biden's quid pro quo. Joe Biden committed the ultimate quid pro quo with our tax dollars, leveraging $1 billion of tax dollars to get a prosecutor fired who was investigating his son. And then you look at what he's done with China. And we believe he's compromised because of the millions of dollars he's taken from China.
And his son continued to get paid, didn't he?
Yes.
Thank you both, Chairman Comer and Chairman Smith. We appreciate it. All right, we head over to the Senate side of the Capitol complex, where just yesterday, FBI Director Chris Wray, he was grilled over how the FBI has been politicized and the DOJ weaponized and his bureau weaponized. Take a look.
I think the Department of Justice has been profoundly politicized under Attorney General Merrick Garland. And I think the FBI has as well. And unfortunately, I think you've been unwilling to stand up to senior career officials of the FBI who's allowed the FBI to be politicized. Have a responsibility to the FBI, not to allow it to be a partisan tool and a partisan weapon. The testimony, and by the way, the FBI has done nothing. And I have not, and I will not. Have you opened an investigation into whether the Attorney General lied under oath to Congress and whether the Attorney General obstructed justice?
I'm not going to go down that road here.
I know you're not. That's the point. Nobody thinks you've opened an investigation because you're not willing to.
All right, joining us now with more Texas Senator Ted Cruz is with us. Senator, thank you. Just to dovetail off our last segment, you asked Ray, he wouldn't answer your question if the FBI tried to ascertain Joe and Hunter Biden's location when that WhatsApp message that I read in my opening monologue was sent. Also, you ripped Ray for not answering questions about the Hunter investigation, and you ripped him for how the Bureau has been politicized and weaponized. What is your take? Is this FBI director involved in a cover-up for the Bidens? Is this a dual justice system? I thought Lady Justice was to be blind.
Well, I think she's blind, deaf, and crippled right now, and I think it is a sad situation. This Department of Justice, this FBI, is the most political, it is the most partisan, it is the most weaponized we've ever seen. As you noted in your opening monologue, you played that WhatsApp where Hunter says, "I'm sitting next to my father," and he threatens a Chinese communist with retribution from daddy unless he sends millions of dollars. Now, Gary Shapley, one of the two IRS whistleblowers, said the investigators had a very obvious way to check it. They wanted the GPS data. Was Hunter sitting next to Joe Biden? Both of them have phones. You can ascertain where they were the instant that text message was sent. Gary Shapley said the Biden DOJ blocked that investigation, said you're not allowed to get Hunter or Joe Biden's GPS data. You're not allowed to inquire. No questions about the big guy. So I asked Chris Wray, did the FBI try to get the GPS data to determine whether this was in fact a bribery shakedown? Chris Wray's answer was, well, I'm not going to talk to you about an open investigation. It's the biggest lie. It's the biggest shell game. They claim it's an open investigation, but they're not investigating anything and refuse to investigate anything. And when there's accountability, look, we've got major whistleblowers saying the Attorney General has committed multiple felonies, and the Attorney General stonewalls, the FBI stonewalls, and Chris Wray's answers yesterday were disgraceful. He believes he owes no accountability to Congress and no accountability to the American people. And one of the things I shared with him as I travel the country, I am regularly approached by FBI agents who are horrified by what's happening in their agency. They're honorable men and women. They want to defend the rule of law. They want to catch bad guys. And instead, the political leadership at DOJ is turning them into a cover-up patrol for the Biden White House.
I want to get your reaction, Senator, if I can, and these comments by Christopher Wray talking about how he's never seen the terror threat on every level as bad as it is now, saying, blinking lights are everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, why has he 8+ million illegal immigrants? And now we know where they're coming from. Iran, Syria, Egypt, Afghanistan, China, Russia. tens and tens of thousands. Did you ever get an answer out of him? Now he's finally warning us, after all these people are here unvetted, that the terror threat has never been greater in history? What is your reaction to that? To me, that's a dereliction of duty. I know he was busy looking at, into moms and dads at school board meetings and going after pro-life protesters, people that were doing it peacefully. And I know he was, really looking hard at that Hunter Biden laptop and warning big tech. Why hasn't he been dealing with that threat issue?
Listen, the FBI has stonewalled on these questions for a very long time, and it was, about a year ago that Chris Wray was going before Congress saying, the biggest threat we have is crazy white nationalists. Come on, it's not like there's a surge of Nazis running around. They're idiots and bigots. But you want to know what the biggest threat is? It's Hamas terrorists and Hezbollah terrorists coming across our southern border, seeking to carry out a terror attack. And I got to tell you, when I was down at the border just a few weeks ago, our Border Patrol agents are very worried about it. We've got a war in Israel. And when I see Chris Wray, finally, the FBI